Hello, this is Michael Nicula. Welcome to the Dash Show. Today's topic is personal debt. We all know Canadians take too much debt. Sometimes they can't carry it, and that creates more of a social problem than an economical problem. And today we're going to talk about what can be done to stop this problem. Enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to the Dash Show. My name is Kevin Burke and I'll be your host this evening. On the Dash Show, we try and remind our fellow Canadians that our economic growth is not measured in coffee cups and nickelback tickets. Our panelists on today's show are going to be discussing personal debt. As well as personal debt, they're going to go through some sub-issues on the topic like credit card limitations and see if they can't come up with some solutions. Now, we have a couple of broke guests with us as well as a couple of professionals who are going to try and tell us how to get to be not broke anymore. It's my understanding that a lot of Canadians now are so far in debt or so poor that they have to put their vacations on layaway. I myself am very excited this year to be able to visit my family for Christmas '08 finally. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our guests, certified management accountant and bankruptcy professional Victor Fong, who's going to be discussing the issues with the rest of our panelists, as well as certified management accountant Michael, as well as our guest panelists who will be speaking for you, the audience at home, and asking questions of our professionals to see if we can't get some answers out of them. Evgeny and Andrea, who I'm definitely not going out with. All right, we're going to begin with the subject of personal debt. Evgeny, I understand that you have a question?
Yes, I do. So in recent times, we know that the gap between rich and poor become deeper and deeper, and some people relate it to the loan management and loan mechanism that we have in Canada. Can you address this issue and explain how the loan mechanism affect this gap between the rich and poor?
The way I see things transpiring right now is that we're going through some very fundamental shifts in the global economy. Some things are out of our control. The reason why there's more poor people than middle-class people now, why people are dropping out of the middle class, is that there's two factors going on. There's technology, which effectively eliminates jobs, and globalization, which basically outsources jobs to countries like China and India. Most people of our generation, they want to have a home and a car, and they want also to have kids, vacations, just like our parents did. But that's coming out of our reach, because although we're doing the same amount of work as the last generation did, we're not getting the same amount of compensation. So we want to live the lifestyle our parents did, but we're not getting the same amount of compensation. As a result, we have to fill that gap with debt. That's why people are getting more and more debt.
So what would your advice be then to somebody in the situation where they're becoming trapped in that cycle of having to use debt to just live? What would you suggest to get out of that?
Well,
Better job.
True, better job, but that's not always easy to come by in these tough times. Mm-hmm. There's really not much of a solution for people that are already past a certain age. I think people who are already working and have lost their job, or they can't get another job that's higher paying, they're going to face some tough times. There's no easy solutions. Government really can't solve this. A lot of people cry to the government and ask them to solve the problem. These are economic forces that are outside of our control. They're beyond our borders. Like a lot of the jobs that used to be high paying, they're not coming back. Mm-hmm. The advice I could give to someone like yourself, who's still a student, is that don't rely on being an employee for the rest of your life. Because technology, as I said, eliminates more jobs than it creates. My advice for you, a young lady such as yourself, is if you have a passion for something, figure out what you want to do with it, figure out how to monetize it, how to make a living off it. Learn business skills. Learn how to read a financial statement. Learn about business law. Take control of your own life. That's the best way to ensure prosperity for yourself and your family. Don't rely on someone giving you a job and assuming that you're going to be there forever, because that's not going to happen, because the technology and globalization will eventually eliminate most jobs here.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, because knowing how to calculate your compound interest, how to calculate your mortgage payment, because if you just go to the street and ask people how their mortgage works, I think 80% of the people don't know at all how it works.
Yes, oh, absolutely.
I just want to learn how to cheat on my taxes, personally. If they could teach that in high school, it would be great.
So here's my opinion about this issue of connecting the loan mechanisms to the gap between rich and poor, and I think this is just the tip of the iceberg, with the risk of becoming a bit boring here. But let me know if I get too technical about these terms. The personal debt is actually the connection because it pushes people under the poverty line, and that changes from an economic problem. It becomes now a social problem. So poverty breeds crime, breeds a lot of other issues, social segregation. Now you have poor neighborhoods where your kids don't want to go with those kids, and to the same school. So it becomes a social issue, and this is why the government has a responsibility to intervene somehow. I'm not for government intervention. I'm not one of those people who would say the government has to babysit everybody from cradle to grave. But there is some responsibility, certain things that the government can do to help people who cannot help themselves. The reason why people get into debt, two of the many reasons, I'm just gonna mention the ones that I think they're the biggest reasons. One is certain marketing techniques. So you've got a population who is more or less interested on their financial, responsible about their financial health, pitched against an army of marketing professionals who are going to push debt into you, just like a drug dealer is going to push drugs to you. So they're going to come to you and say, hey, do you want this car? Like nice, shiny Toyota or Hyundai or whatever, Chevy, Corvette. It's only 300, like, no, sorry, not 300. It's going to be only $299. And you look at it and go like, oh, $299. Well, yeah, I can afford that. But it's like, it's $299 bi-weekly. When the first time you hear about it, you think it's $299 a month. But it's not $299 a month. Now they lease or finance these cars on a bi-weekly or weekly basis. I've seen ads that say, get a truck, Ford truck for $99, only $99, but they say weekly payments.
And if you want the tires and the steering wheel,
that
and the
comes on top.
bumper and the doors, it's all extra.
Not only that, but there's in order to get that car out of the dealership, you have to pay for the freight. You have to pay for the PDI, whatever that means. I know, but not a lot of people know what PDI means. Then you have to pay for a license. They're going to fill out the gas tank. You have to pay for that too. So by the time you exit the dealership lot,
oh, don't forget the tax on top.
Oh, there's okay. Sorry. I almost got that. So there's tax on top of all that stuff. So by the time you exit the dealership parking lot, your credit card has $4,000 charge on it, and you're going to end up paying about maybe $300-400 monthly. So none of that information is available to you when you read the ad. They may add to that optional equipment. So yeah, if you get this car, you get the cloth chairs, but if you want leather chairs, that's going to be extra, and if you want automatic transmission, that's extra. So
seat belts.
Seat belts cost extra too. The point here is that the marketing technique is to give you the impression that a product is actually going to cost you less in the first time you hear about it. So the first reaction you have is that, yes, this product is affordable. I can afford this. And then once you have that mindset that every time you hear there's more and more, there's tax, there's this and that, you still have the first reaction, which is, yes, I can afford this, but then you think, I can afford it, but I will have to cut down on my Starbucks coffee every morning. I'll have to cut down on, certain things that I may want to buy, but I still want that car because it was presented to me. And this is a North American concept here. We're talking about the idea of presenting products with the prices quoted in terms of before tax. If you go to Europe or if you are anywhere else in the world,
Absolutely.
the price includes tax, and it has to include taxes because in the end, you're the one who's paying the GST, HST, whatever tax they throw at you. It's not, the HST being shown separately only makes sense if you are a corporation or a company that buys stuff, because then you can write off that GST. But if you are the end consumer, it doesn't matter if the price includes or doesn't include the tax, because you're paying it. You're paying for it. I like the commercial where they say, if you come and buy furniture this weekend, you don't pay any tax. Well, you do. It's basically what they do is they give you this table for $400, and they're going to pay the tax as they should. But if you come here next weekend, they're going to charge you $400, but they're going to charge you the HST on top of it, which is basically an increased tax. So increased price. So that's one of the marketing techniques they push at you. Another marketing technique that they push is this idea of buying on debt. So you say, I'm going to buy something, but I'm going to put it on my credit card, and because I buy with my credit card, I'm going to get some points or some sort of perks, advantages. So, which turns a bad thing, which is debt, into a good thing. So you're saying, yes, I'm going to buy this on debt, which is, I know it's not good. I know my mother told me don't live beyond your means. But it's a good thing because at the end of the year, I'm going to get 25,000 air miles. And with that, you can fly from Toronto to
Ottawa.
No, you're not going to get that far. You're going to fly from Toronto to Peterborough, but there's no airport there, so you're going to have to pay the difference. But that when they talk to you about those points, they don't tell you that actually you're going to have to pay the taxes on the ticket that you pay. And it turns out that the taxes are actually 4 or 5 times more than the actual ticket. So this is a marketing technique that is designed to blur the mind of the consumers into not being able to distinguish what they can afford and what they cannot afford, and basically pushing them into debt. At the other end of the table, you've got the credit companies. They are very happy to have you as a customer. And why is that? Because you're going to take some money from them, and sooner or later, they are banking on this actually, that sooner or later you won't be able to make the payments on time.
You can just sell your new car.
You just sell your new car.
Sell
but
the new car you bought for $299 bi-weekly.
The solution has to do with government intervention at this point. There's nobody's going to come and buy everybody's debt and let us all go free.
Okay, we covered a lot of topics today on the Dash Show. I'd like to thank all of our panelists and all of our guests. If for any reason you would like to or you need any sort of consultation on personal debt accounting, you can feel free to either Google Victor Fong or visit his website at www.startingovertoronto.com. I'd like to thank the rest of the panelists and guests as well. You can always visit the onlineparty.ca if you want any more information. My name is Kevin Burke. Thank you for joining us, and make sure you visit the Dash Show online at www.thedashshow.com. So we talked a lot about personal debt management today. I'm no stranger to personal debt myself. Actually, I wish that in my youth I'd taken more opportunity to learn about it, but like most young people, by the time I was old enough to get my first credit card, the only thing that I actually cared about or spent time doing was thinking of new and interesting ways to fail at getting laid. Now that I'm 30, because I never learned anything when I was young, I can barely afford the mortgage payments on the car that I live out of, yet I still keep getting pre-approved notices in the mail. Even my pets have credit cards. No, I think that it's really important for young people to learn when they're young enough to still know and learn how to manage money before making any bad habits, how to actually deal with credit properly. So, I mean, I would say with some certainty that if I ever have kids, they're definitely going to be making sneakers to pay off my old debt.
That was a very good discussion. Here's my take on it. I don't like government intervention in any way. I'm actually for less government intervention, but I think in this particular situation, government should intervene to help those Canadians who can't handle their own personal finances by lowering the interest that lending companies can impose to, let's say, a prime plus a fixed percentage number, or a fixed number, let's say 10%. That way, the lending companies will stop giving loans to those people who can't afford it, and that will lower the personal debt issue. What people can do, as you heard in the show, try to negotiate with the lenders and try to get yourself out of debt as soon as possible. You don't have to agree with my positions. Online Party of Canada has put multiple issues on this topic on the website. You can go on the website and comment and vote, www.onlineparty.ca. Thank you for watching the show.